Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're so close to 50,000 and your support would be greatly appreciated. Attempting to find ways to compete with your rival manufacturer will always present challenges. I think we know that. And in the case of Boeing, there's most notably been that middle of the market segment that everyone talks about, including myself, that many say have missed certain elements and allowed Airbus to excel further forward and seemingly uncontested. That doesn't mean Boeing hasn't looked at prospective opportunities. Yes, the NMA often comes to mind, but there's also that all-important talk of developing maybe the MAX series further to close the gap between it and the A321neo, which we know has been an aircraft type that has certainly run away with it of late. Boeing has a 737-10, which some believe can adequately compete with the A321neo and prove an alternative, but it hasn't been certified. And not only is the 321neo established and proven, but the further derivatives that we've seen launched have been a huge success. So how could Boeing close this gap? Many believed the NMA would have been the best alternative, and this was being studied. However, Boeing's decision to wait for more futuristic tech to be available and mean that this NMA would be game-changing into the 2030s has sparked a new debate. Some argue that a new MAX, potentially in the realm of an LR variant or ER, could be the game-changer required, with this variant boosting the range of the MAX and allowing it to fulfill routes that wouldn't necessarily require a wide body. Effectively, they believe countering the extended range versions of the A321neo program that, like I said, have been incredibly successful. So what has the talk been regarding a 737 LR ER MAX variant? Well, first discussions of this came towards the halfway point of the 2010s when Boeing was said to have been studying a conceptual 737-ERX. This at least is how it was dubbed and identified by Liam News and Analysis. Their sources confirmed that concepts existed, indicating the thoroughness of the research and planning that is undertaken by the American plane maker. But scarily, this comes almost a decade ago, and now long before the many challenges that Boeing would face, as well as the development further of the A321neo. And those challenges that I speak of put Boeing in a bit of a tricky situation where their concerns about future development of the A321neo were realised and they were seemingly left behind. The MAX, however, does face its complexities. Digging deeper into elements such as the maximum takeoff weight and factoring into that the variants that are present, it makes it a bit hard to boost the platform to potentially the liking that customers would want. It presents Boeing with challenges that may not necessarily pay off regarding the overall reward for the long term, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't explored. Boeing and all manufacturers know that they need to continue examining possibilities to not just enhance existing aircraft programs, build new ones. Naturally, they will attempt to improve their market share wherever possible and provide greater aircraft to their customers. But with that being said, any launch has to make sense, and we have seen so many concepts throughout the years that have never gotten off the ground. But what is interesting to me, at least, is how each program, even if it does fail, is incredibly valuable to Boeing as a plane maker for the utilization of potential ideas in future aircraft. But ultimately, one thing that comes to mind from enhancing the MAX, and as at least studied in the Liam News piece, is that if Boeing had progressed with the 737-8ERX, while unconfirmed but based on studies, the MAX would only see a base passenger capacity of around 150. Inherently, while this is a modest aircraft and would have a fantastic range, if you're looking at customers that may want a plane to be deployed on more long-range services as a single aisle, well, it would end up still being less than the A321LR. Furthermore, this was in 2015, and as Boeing hasn't progressed with an LR since then, the A321neo has advanced through just the base model. The LR is already flying and the upcoming XLR was just certified, each looking to enhance the overall capabilities, and each are now successful in their own right, despite initial skepticism over the variants. What all this proves time and time again is that the MAX, despite being a fantastic plane when working for its customers, certainly does have its limitations. Many of these limitations have been brought on for the same reasons that many look to critique the MAX to begin with. The dated and tired design that was pumped out one more time and led to all those certification difficulties. A prospective 737 MAX LR was studied in the mid-2010s and yes, would potentially be an efficient customer order, but the interest in this, certainly in comparison to the A321neo, may not be there. Further to that point, if this was discussed in the mid-2020s, a decade on, it becomes an unrealistic expectation, as not only would a launch into the market be many years away, but Boeing has uncertified base MAX variants, so it needs to sort these out before it even thinks about enhancing it further, which honestly doesn't seem in the realm of possibilities. For the MAX, future development, thanks to many issues, would appear to be a write-off for many. The 2030s, however, may be the timeframe where we see that true next-gen type, which will open up the door for future possibilities. For now, Airbus will lead the line for the single-aisle long-haul operation, but what the next 10 years holds is an interesting thought that I'd love to hear your take on down below. Do you believe that the same limitations that came with the MAX that led to certification troubles are also what have truly prevented it from excelling further with, say, more derivatives? Or was there not enough market for a 737 MAX LR in your opinion? Do you believe the 2030s will be the time frame where Boeing can truly advance? Let me know. I'd love to hear your take down below in the comments on this interesting question. I've seen it thrown around a few times. Thanks a lot for your support here on GlobeTrotting. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you in a couple of days.